It's just past midnight and I'm en route home. I see a car following me as I take the highway off-ramp. I take a left, the car's still following. I take a right, the car still follows. I decide, at the next set of traffic lights, if they're red, I'm jumping them. They red, I jump them. But so does the car behind me. Now I know things are going pear-shaped. Next thing, blue lights, cops, guns. Welcome to A Better Way, where we explore methods of resolving conflict in your professional and personal life. I'll call today's story Confrontational Cops. It goes beyond typical workplace and family disputes and highlights the importance of conflict resolution in a dangerous environment. Let's face it, South Africa is not the safest of countries, more so at night. You might think my perspective is slightly skewed for whatever reason. So I'll ask Google. And I quote, South Africa experiences high levels of crime, particularly violent crime, making it statistically unsafe for many citizens and visitors. Confidence in the police and the justice system is low amongst South Africans. Why am I mentioning this? Well, stick around. I regularly work in the events industry and so am on the road at all hours of the night. Due to South Africa's crime situation, one is vulnerable when travelling at night. The advice so often suggested on many platforms, when instructed to pull off by the blue light gang, only do so in a well-lit and populated area, somewhere like a fueling station, a shopping centre, or the nearest police station. But in reality, how practical is this? Violent criminals are not going to be that polite, and for sure, the blue light buy me a Coke cops are not going to want witnesses to their corrupt behaviour. Just to refresh on what I mentioned earlier, recently just past midnight and en route home, I saw a car following me as I took the highway off-ramp. I took a left, the car still followed. I took a right, the car was behind me. I decided, at the next set of traffic lights, if they red, I'm jumping them. They were red, and I did. But so did the car jump them behind me. Only then did they put their blue lights on. Okay, so now it's confirmed this might become interesting. I put my left indicator on and turned up the next road. The blue lighters are now up my tail, floodlights on, and they're screaming at me over their loud hailer. Pull over! Pull over! So, what now? Thank goodness just ahead was a private security patrol vehicle parked on the pavement. I put my hazards on and pulled alongside the security car. Now, normally in South Africa, you stay in your vehicle when the cops pull you over. Not this time. They stopped their car diagonally across the street so no one could get past, floodlights blinding me, and were yelling at me. Let me see your hands! Let me see your hands! Get out of the car! Let me see your hands! With all of this commotion, the local residents must have thought that a most wanted had just been tracked down. It was at that moment I knew if things were going to go south, it was then. I opened the door, showed them my hands, and got out. Not sure if you've ever been on stage in front of an audience. If you have, you'll know that you can't generally see the audience because the lights are so intense and bright in your eyes. So the cops can see me, but I can't see them. What I do see, though, are automatic rifles and pistols being pointed at me. From now on, I'll refer to the driver as Pistol and the passenger as Rifleman. Pistol now walks a little closer. He's not older than 25 and looks out of character in relation to the South African police stereotype. Basically, I'm saying he appears physically fit. And now comes the intimidation and the lies. Pistol: we've been following you from the highway. Me: Pistol: then why didn't you pull off? Me: because you didn't have your blue lights on. Pistol: oh. Rifleman, till now hiding behind the floodlights, makes an appearance. Unlike Pistol, this cop appears more the stereotype. Realizing his life's not in imminent danger, he decides to play bad cop, but with no original lines. Rifleman: "We've been behind you since the highway." Me: Rifleman: "Why didn't you pull off then?" Now I'm thinking, really? Didn't we just go down this path? But remaining calm and firm, I just state, "Because you didn't have your blue lights on." To which the rifleman retorts, "Yes, we did." Okay, so I'm thinking to myself, this is where it's going. I respond, "No, you only put your blue lights on after I went through the traffic lights and just before I turned left up this street." Rifleman doesn't know what to say and is quiet. The blue lighters, now intent on finding me guilty of something and most likely hoping for a Coke, search me from head to toe. Finding peppermints in my pocket with the presumption that it's probably meth, Pistol becomes a little bit more verbal, to which I respond, "They're peppermints. Have one." He becomes silent. Long story short, they search every inch of my car. In the end, disappointedly, they tell me to move on. Throughout this ordeal, I remain calm, assertive, but not provocative. So tell me, was this conflict resolution effective? As we've discussed previously, in order to formulate an educated opinion, we need to understand the different forms of conflict resolution. So today, I'll be using the Thomas-Kilmann Conflict Mode Instrument. In this model, there are 5 conflict modes. We have competing, collaborating, compromising, avoiding, and accommodating. We'll also touch on 3 different types of empathy, those being cognitive empathy, emotional empathy, and compassionate empathy. So let's have a look at my conflict resolution. In this situation, my conflict mode was a blend of competing and collaborating. I was competing by asserting my position, "You didn't have your blue lights on," and standing my ground against their lies and intimidation. At the same time, I was collaborating by pulling over near the private security vehicle, which demonstrated my willingness to cooperate while simultaneously prioritizing my safety. My use of de-escalation techniques was also crucial. By remaining calm and assertive, but not provocative, I avoided escalating the situation into a full-blown crisis. My simple, factual responses, "Because you didn't have your blue lights on," prevented the emotional escalation that they were likely trying to provoke. I didn't get angry or defensive, just stated the verifiable fact, which disarmed their narrative. My actions also displayed a high degree of cognitive empathy. I wasn't experiencing their emotions, but I was able to understand their perspective, that they were trying to intimidate me in order to solicit a bribe. This understanding allowed me to avoid their traps and respond in a way that protected me without backing down. So, was it the most effective way? Well, my approach was highly effective. Given the dangerous and unpredictable nature of the situation, my actions were almost a perfect textbook example of effective conflict resolution in a high-risk scenario. Here's why my actions were so effective. Prioritized safety. By pulling off next to the private security vehicle, I followed the best practices advice and created a layer of witnesses and protection. This was a non-provocative yet powerful move that immediately made the situation safer for me. Also, de-escalation. My calm demeanor and factual responses directly countered their aggressive and intimidating tactics. By refusing to engage in an emotional argument, I denied them the control that they were seeking. Assertiveness. I didn't concede or back down from their false claims. I stood my ground, which likely signaled to them that I was not an easy target for a bribe. In a situation like this, my goal isn't to win the argument, it's to get home safely, and my actions achieved this goal. Alternatives, and perhaps a better way of resolving it? While my chosen path was effective, exploring some other options can still be valuable. Here are 2 alternative approaches and why they might not have been as effective. The avoiding approach. A person might have chosen to avoid the conflict altogether. This would have involved me driving away, hoping that they would give up. This could have been incredibly dangerous. The blue light gang could have interpreted this as me trying to evade arrest, potentially leading to a chase or a more violent confrontation. They might have shot at my car or rammed it off the road, putting my life in imminent danger. This would have shifted the situation from a verbal confrontation to a physical one, which should be avoided at all costs. Our second option could have been the accommodating approach. Another option would have been to accommodate their demands and try to appease them. This might have involved offering them some money when they kind of hinted at it, immediately apologizing as well. "Oh, I'm so sorry I jumped the lights," even though they were part of my evasive action. This approach could have resulted in a quick resolution where they take the bribe and let me go. However, it would have validated their corrupt behavior, put me in financial vulnerability, and offered no long-term solution to the systemic problem in South Africa. So, what are the key takeaways? Conflict resolution isn't just for boardrooms, it's a vital life skill. Remain calm, don't panic, be assertive and strategic, but don't become mouthy and provocative. And whatever you do, don't buy them a Coke. I'd love to hear your views and perhaps past experiences. Please like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell.